We welcome all of you to this beautiful session, one evening session filled with music, filled with the Lord's goddess, Saraswati's instrument, Veena, and a player who is almost, exalted at that level. So we have a Saraswati here with her Veena, and we have on the opposite side another Saraswati with her Veena. So Dr. Jayanti Kumaresh is India's torchbearer for the Saraswati Veena, the national instrument of India. An artist, collaborator, composer, researcher, creator, pioneer, and educator. Her life achievements over 35 years truly embodies the rich musical heritage of India, making her one of the legendary Veena maestros that India has ever produced. Dr. Jayanti Kumaresh has dedicated her life to the Saraswati Veena. Her playing style truly brings out the voice of the Veena in terms of originality in content, technique, virtuosity, and expression that transcends the boundaries of language and region. We welcome you once again. And now we get into a conversation with Jayanti ji. So the first question, I mean, these are questions that we have prepared based on what we know of Jayanti ji through her concerts, through her biodata, and we are going to learn much more from her personally. So born in a musical family, Jayanti ji, did you take to music like a fish to water, or did you have to be forced into it initially? Did you follow a strict regimen? Did you ever feel pressurized? These are questions which all our audience would be loving to hear answers to.
Hari Om Pramodini ji, Hari Om Guruji. It's such an honor to be a part of the Chinmaya Nadabindu family. I have enjoyed my trip there and I still carry very fond memories of being with you all there. So I come from a family where music has been the mainstay for the last 6 generations. So if we did not do music, that would be considered odd. So nobody needed to force anybody. I think it was a language that was spoken at home more than asking the children to say amma, appa. I think we were asked to say ga, da, ma, ri, ni, sa. So this was the language that. So my mother, Vidushi Lalgudi Rajalakshmi Amma. So she was teaching a lot while she was carrying me and she was playing the violin. So I think all of that, all the music around must have registered. And it was like a language I was very comfortable with when God brought me to this world. And so for children who are interested into music, I don't think parents need to force them to do music, but parents need to force them to be disciplined.
Right.
So the art, the interest is there, but to do the sadhana, discipline is very important. So that is where I was, as a child, a little bit not able to be controlled, a hyper child. So that is the part where we needed the discipline. But I think from childhood, music was my only companion.
Okay, you spoke of discipline, and I asked you a question. Did you follow a strict regimen? In the sense, were you made to follow a strict regimen in your childhood that made you disciplined later? So, how did it happen? You said you were a little naughty, hyper.
So while I was with my parents, it was very difficult for them to bring me to any particular regimen. I remember even today, I had visited my mother, and she was telling me that I could recognize ragams at a very young age, at the age of 3 and everything. Any ragam I would recognize. But if she called 4 or 5 people and say, see, this child is recognizing, I would say all the wrong names. So I don't think at that stage my mother could actually rein my energy, which is why probably I went and did Gurukulam with my guru, Srimati Padmavati Anantagopalanji, my Mausi, my mother's elder sister, Periyamma.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So my father was in the Indian Air Force. And of course, I did practice. She taught me. I used to sing, but putting it as like a regimen, all that happened only when I moved to Chennai to stay with my guru, Srimati Padmavati Anantagopalanji.
Okay, actually, I was coming to that question later, but now that you have brought that up, or maybe I'll leave it to a little later because I'm expecting some more people to join in. And that's a very important question about the Gurukulam that I want to bring up. But I'll bring another question that I just thought of when you said you were able to recognize ragas when you were maybe 3 or even less. So, what do you think about rebirth? What do you think about coming back to a body from somewhere to continue your journey in the field of music?
It is possible. I mean, I shouldn't be talking about all this when Swamiji is here. So,
But what's your belief?
my belief, I do believe. The very reason I connect with you, Pramodini ji, itself, the way we do, I feel there is some people we connect with, some things we connect with. I come from this great family of violinists. Everybody is a violinist, including my husband now. Everybody is a violinist. Why would I play the veena? So there is a connection. There is somebody up there who's pushing all the buttons. We are only the moving toys. So we just do what we are supposed to do. If we find out the reason why we are here, well and good. So the journey is all about finding that out and doing what we are expected to do.
Lovely. What an answer. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay. So I was actually asking what was the role of your parents in your training, but you've already answered that. Now you have a doctorate for your thesis on styles of playing techniques of the Saraswati Veena. Could you give us some idea about the work and tell us some interesting facts about the Veena itself?
So, when you say you are a veena player, the question people will ask you is, which bani do you play? So, bani means style, like gharana. So, in the south, there is Tanjavur gharana. Then there is Trivandrum, Kerala gharana. Then there is Mysore gharana. There is Andhra gharana, all based on the 4 states in the south of India. So earlier, even the Veenas in each of these states were very different. It was mainly made with the wood that was available. In Tanjavur and Trivandrum Gharana, they used a lot of palamaram, like jackfruit tree wood. But in Andhra, Bobbili Veena, they did use rosewood, a little bit of teak also. In Mysore Veena, they used a lot of rosewood because that was available a lot there. Even the playing styles were very different. So my thesis was to find out the difference between these styles, how the styles affect the structure of these Veenas. Are these styles only because of geographical differences, or is it because of actual expression of music? And do we really have to rigidly hold on to these styles, or just, should we expect to express beautifully on the Veena? So this gave me an opportunity to go in depth and review the styles of the great practitioners in each of these styles. We had Veyi Venkatramana Shastri in Andhra style, and then we had K.S. Narayana Swamiji in the Kerala style. We had Shamba Shiva Iyer in the Karekudi style, and then we had Veena Sheshanna brothers in the Mysore style. So when you heard these old recordings and tried to figure out how their Veena was sounding different, and all these, it gave me eye opening. Otherwise I would have said, oh, whatever I'm playing is the best style. So it gave me opportunity to look at all the styles, imbibe a little bit of what I could do in my way of expression, and it kind of made me amalgamate a little bit from every style. And this was a beautiful journey. My guide at that time was Mysore Manjanaji, who had done the same subject in violin. So I did the PhD in Mysore University of Mysore. And that journey was very beautiful. I took my time. I took 6 years, and aram se I did the PhD, and I really enjoyed that journey.
So, do you see a great advantage? Now, this question might come up. It suddenly come up in my head while you spoke about the PhD. Do you think, besides, of course, the knowledge that you have gained with your studies, do you think this has great value in today's, academic world? If you have a PhD, you're respected more, or if you have a PhD, if you don't have a PhD, no matter how, how good an artist you are, you come down in respect of, in certain people's minds. Do you see anything like that, or do you see it as only an added advantage to
It is
have a
an
PhD?
added advantage because these are two different things. Knowing to express through your music, the mind connect creativity and the instrument is one part. This is academics. This helps you to communicate in an organized fashion. A little more. Your thought process is more organized. You have done a little bit of research, and maybe when you speak in a conference and other things, there is a little bit of more authenticity because you have actually spent time on the theory part of it. But that has nothing to do with once you are up the stage with your instrument and what you do. We may have 10 doctorates, but wahan sadhana karna padta hai to actually play.
Yeah, the ability to play something different.
Totally.
Right, very good. Okay, now I'll come back to the question of Gurukulam. Okay, you are aware that we at Chinmay Vishwavidyapeeth School of Kala Yoga follow the Gurukula tradition of music training in the integrated masters as well as in the MA programs. Now, before taking advanced training under Dr. S. Balchandar ji, you have lived and learned for 22 years. You told me that when we visited you also, from your guru, Vidushi Padmavati Anantagopalan, and today we got to know that she's your aunt also. What do you feel is the advantage of this Gurukula mode of learning as compared to a typical classroom education system?
I think for art, that is the prescription to excel. Because my main training was with my aunt and Mausi Srimati Padmavati Anantagopalanji. When you stay with the Guru, the ecosystem is completely different from the time you go Tuesdays and Thursdays 4 to 5 class. That is completely different because rest of the time you are in a different ecosystem. When you are with your guru, you watch your guru practice. You watch your guru teach other students. Your guru, while she's cooking, while she's doing other things, is listening to you practice. And then she's there with you during your morning riyas. And also, you do Guru Seva, you do a lot of work there, and mentally it tunes you. You're not a spoiled child at home where your mother and father think, oh, my child is playing Veena, what a great thing. No, your Guru will never approve, you know. Whatever you do to get just from them is a huge thing. So to say
Wow.
that it kind of nicely makes you flexible to face life, not only in music, later in life to face any situation. You are not overexcited, you are modest, um, you are level headed. So I think staying with a guru gives you a perspective of life, especially if your guru is as strict as mine. You will never get any, I mean, you will never let anything get to your head because whatever you do, your guru is just going to say, okay, I think that was not bad. So
Wonderful.
I think Gurukula is the way. If you can, if you have provided the opportunity to do, especially I have visited your campus, to do Gurukula in a place like that, I think that is pure bliss. What more can you ask for?
Great. Would you remember some, some incidents that you can never forget while you stayed with your guru, that, that has remained with you, that has improved you in so many ways? Something like that, if you remember, if you can share for our audience.
There are many, many, but I can share one or two. She would wake me up at 4 o'clock every morning, and
Lovely.
4 to 6:30 is the first riyaz during the day, and then you have to get up and go to school. I did regular school. I did masters in English literature and everything. But it's not like she would wake me up and she would keep sleeping. She would be up. And by the time my first piece was done, my hot cup of coffee she would make and she would bring. And she would sit, and whichever part of the house she's in, that was a big house where I stayed, she would be somewhere upstairs and she would say, in that pa string, when you played the da, I think the string your tuning is a bit flat. You have to tune it. So I would wonder, she's talking to somebody, she's talking to the maid, she's talking to someone. How is she hearing this? So
Look at the attention they pay.
yeah, and one channel is always tuned, no matter where you are, what you're doing. This channel is that hotline is always connected to what you're playing. That is one thing that it is within me. The other thing is, all my years I was there, she never allowed me to change the strings of the veena, because every time you change, there will be a small prick here and a small tiny bit of blood will come. So she will never allow me to do that, because she'll say, before your concert, don't do that. I will do it for you.
Oh,
Go play the concert. So
it's-
it so happened that until I was almost 30 or even more, yeah, even more actually, she never taught me to change strings, which was quite scary. And there was this time when she had a surgery, a retina displacement surgery. And almost the next day, I was playing a national program. And I had practiced a lot, and my string was in such a way that it would break anytime. So I was wondering, Arey, I don't know how to change the string now. And she's having a retina displacement. Now, what will I do if my string breaks halfway through my program? It was in the All India Radio. It was the Sangeet Sammelan. And I didn't know. I was very scared. But I never told her because I didn't want to pressurize her. So my concert was in the at 6 o'clock in the evening. She was discharged, and with the eye bandaged, we brought her home by around 12:30 in the afternoon. And we settled her in the room, and she was asked to take rest, and I was practicing. She said, she got up at 1 o'clock and she said, you have a concert and we have to change your string. Let me change it for you. I said, no, you can't see. Your eye is bandaged. I'll play like this. No worries. She said, no, no, no. I don't have to see to change your string. Bring your veena.
oh,
And she changed my string, and I played that day with that string. I mean, that
oh
dedication,
my God.
that connection with the student is something I can never forget.
And what love. There is so much of love pouring onto and at the same time being very strict so that, the student doesn't falter,
Yes.
doesn't get misled with any praise. Beautiful. Very nice balance between both, right?
Yes.
Okay, now I think this is very relevant. You are the recipient of many awards such as Sangeeta Chudamani, Kalaimamani by the government of Tamil Nadu, Veena Nadamani, Kalaratna, Satyashri, and how many? And you probably won 10 awards from Music Academy itself for the Veena. So, what is the attitude? I'm sure people are going to guess what the attitude is with which you receive the multiple prestigious awards presented to you. Do you feel a great responsibility over your shoulders?
The award is not for me, it is for the Veena. So, how can I attach myself to it? The Saraswati Veena. So, the award
That says it all.
So, my duty is to present this instrument, the national instrument of India, to the world in all its glory, so that people across the globe can appreciate, can feel proud of, can enjoy the beauty of this instrument. So, it is only my duty to present her in every place, and I should be worthy of her at every time. I only say, oh my God, make me worthy of her. Do not make me even a little bit careless or take it for granted at any point in time. So I feel very detached. I feel like I'm just watching an award ceremony when it happens, because it's all for her. It's not for me. So it's quite easy.
Does this come with some spiritual training, or you're just born like this?
The years with my guru was always coupled the music training was always with spiritual training, and also having studied in Chinmaya Vidyalaya added.
I'm coming to that later. Okay, so tell us something about how it is different for a person who is spiritually, thinking differently, rather than anybody who's just learning music and picks up an instrument and he's gifted and he starts playing, and it goes to his head that he's a lovely instrumentalist. So how am I going to improve as an artist if I keep thinking that I'm a great artist? Will the same respect be given to me if I think I am a great artist, or if I think that I am a flute in the hands of Bhagwan Krishna and the music is his? So what is the difference between these two kinds of artists? Where
How
does one go and where does the other go?
he said. First of all, so many musicians have come and gone. Starting from Tansen to Tyagaraja Swami, so many musicians have come and gone. Musicians are coming. So nobody is going to miss anybody if you go away. I mean, the music is not going to stop if I stop playing or anybody else stop playing. People will keep coming. People will keep going. We are only one of those passengers who come in this journey. So we are not the starting point and ending point of this music. It is lucky that in this birth, we are blessed to be born as someone who is not music proof, like soundproof, no? We are able to listen to this music, appreciate it, take this instrument, reach out to the spirit of that instrument. For me, the greatest companion in my life has been the Veena. When I travel alone, I talk to her. I say, before a
Wow.
concert, I say, you should be in tune today. You should, behave. They will turn on the lights. You don't get upset by that. And please help me in expressing. So you reach out to the spirit of this instrument. And only if she makes up her mind, you can express anything. And you are just a small, my Guruji Balachandar sir used to tell, the world is so big. There are so many types of music in this world. Carnatic music is one very small part of the music. In that Carnatic music, Veena is one small part. In that Veena, being one artist, you are so small. We're all just a speck in this huge ocean. Look at, I wanted to tell you one instant which I thought might be interesting. This is about Ustad Amir Khan Saab. So
Okay.
he had his concert in Shanmukhananda, and just before the concert, two tanpuras, beautifully tuned tanpuras, were playing behind him. So he was closing his eyes and listening to that tanpura. And it was so beautifully tuned that the harmony of that just got to him. And the curtain opened and the hall was full of audience. But he was closing his eyes and there was tears in his eyes. And he opened and said, "Isse badkar main kya gaunga?"
क्या बात है.
So that beauty of that tanpura and that sur, what am I going to sing? Anything more than this? So if you have that, the very gamak in our system. So the Indian music is known by the ornamentation, the embellishment, bending a note. That teaches us how to bend ourselves to any circumstance in life. Our doing pranam is bending. So everything in our Indian culture is you have to bend. If you stand like that, every note will be straight. That's all.
That's a beautiful viewpoint. I've never heard this before. The bending of the notes is compared to the bending of the body, the mind, because the mind needs to bend. Only then the ego will not be there. They say a tall tree can get, uh, uh, downed by a wind, a huge tornado, but the grass will still stay
Yes.
because it bends with the
Yes.
wind.
Yes.
Beautiful analogy. Thank you for that. And a lovely memory that you gave us about Amir Khan Saab. We will remember that for long. All right, coming to the next question. Your collaborations with various artists and jugalbandis with different melodic instruments are common knowledge to music lovers. With what frame of mind do you perform at such collaborations? And now a naughty question. What about the Jugalbandis with your husband Kumaresh ji? Do you rehearse it together or is it all improvised?
Let me first talk about
Question over.
other collaborations.
Sure.
So, my idea of putting Veena on the stage in different combinations is to show what a versatile instrument this Veena is. So, earlier it was presented as a chamber instrument, as a prayer in the puja room, after the prayer to play two songs. But this instrument can play in a stadium with 60,000 people and people can enjoy it. So, how do you project that to this world? So you combine it with bansuri, you combine it with sitar, you combine it with a piano, you combine it with a vocalist. And then we did a program called Story in Concert, where somebody will narrate a story, you will narrate that story on the veena, somebody will paint, and somebody like that, 4 or 5 things together. And then we created the Indian National Orchestra. And then there was this album called Mysterious Duality, where it was a creative interpretation of 7 Veenas, which I played one on top of the other. The Veena
Oh.
itself provided melody, Veena provided harmony, Veena provided rhythm, Veena played the second, not fiddle, second Veena, and all of that. So, like that, in different combinations, we did what is known as Kapo Carnatic series, where we presented small modules of Veena music, interpreting several popular tunes on the Veena. That was the fun.
Including Pink Panther.
Pink Panther, Harry Potter, James Bond, you name it. To show that Veena is not an exalted somewhere where you keep it in the puja room thing, but it is something you can have, you can pick it up and play your happy birthday tune in it. So to show that it is your instrument which you can just dabble with. So that has been the aim. And next question coming to the strings attached, which collaboration with my husband, Sri Kumaresh ji, is we try to create different music when we play together. So he comes from a very different Gharana when he and his brother Ganeshji play as a violin duo, which is so popular and so established. And I come from a different Gharana of the Veena. So we said when we converse musically together, we have to create our own compositions. So we create compositions together and play that. And it's a combination I really look forward to. In fact, tomorrow we are playing in Mumbai after a long
Oh,
time, a live concert. And
lovely.
that is a very, very beautiful collaboration.
Wonderful. How do you remain so approachable? Don't people take advantage of your goodness?
I don't.
Because for me, it has never been difficult to speak to you like it would be talking to other great artists like you. It has never seemed difficult. So how do you do this?
I think whatever you resonate to the world, it comes back to you. So if I need a lot of love, I need a lot of support, I need a lot of goodness from the world, it has to start with me. And I try my best to do that.
Thank you for that beautiful answer. Okay, now I'll ask you a question about Indian music. Now, Indian music, or any kind of music for that matter, has benefits that none of us could imagine. How do we get more youngsters interested in classical music? And what is the future of music? What is the future of the Veena?
The future of Carnatic music or Indian music generally is absolutely bright. You see the number of younger crop, the number of people who are doing. And now with the social media and internet, the reach of our music worldwide is absolutely amazing. In every, even in a Hollywood movie nowadays, you see tabla, you hear sitar, the reach is great. Anywhere when I travel, when I carry my veena, most people say, is this a sitar? My aim is to make them ask, is this a veena? So, but they are all aware of the sitar, the tabla, the violin, the veena, the Indian violin, I mean. So, Indian music is absolutely popular. We don't have to worry about it. For children to enjoy it, I think it's the great role of the parents. to create an ecosystem where unconsciously in the car, at home, this music is playing all the time. It becomes a part of their upbringing. It becomes a language that is spoken at home. Like now, when we go abroad, somebody in the car plays MS Subbulakshmi Amma Suprapadam. It brings us a memory of our childhood that we grew up. So that is what our parents created for us. So classical music has to become something that is a part of our life. That mother sings to the child when she sleeps. Mother sings as she's cooking. The children have heard the mother sing, the brother sing. In every house in South India, usually either the brother or sister is learning to play a music instrument. And apart from that, when we keep playing concerts, when we keep taking children to concerts, when we keep introducing them to this culture, I think that becomes second nature. The children are what we give them. Whatever we introduce to them, they imbibe. So I think it's a great responsibility of the parents to make them appreciate at an age, even before they form their own taste about what this system of music is.
Uh, what do you think? I mean, this is a common answer everybody would know, but still coming from you, I think it will make a difference. What is it okay not to learn music at all for
It's okay
anybody?
to learn as long as you know how to appreciate. If you're
Okay,
not Kansen, at least you should be Kansen.
why?
Because
Why
music
so?
is like the sixth natural element. You can't touch it. You can't put it in a basket and say, I have 2 kilos of music. It is in the air. It does something to you. It changes your life. Sometimes when words fail, music speaks.
Okay, suppose I'm born in a family that doesn't have any music, and how does it change my life? Yeah, I'm doing okay, just being there, doing whatever I'm doing. So how does music change my life? If I'm introduced to music later, how would it change me?
It depends on how attracted you are. So many people who have no music in their home find it through their friends, find it through the internet, find it in college, find it in school. They go to the intercollegiate and they wonder, oh my god, these girls and boys are playing an instrument, maybe I should try, maybe I should listen to that. So when you find your friends doing it, if you are having a little bit of taste, you could get hooked onto it. You start listening to it. Maybe you pick up a music instrument you've left in your childhood, you start playing it, and it gives you relaxation. So it is like
Ah,
psychosomatic motor activity, they say. I don't know the technical term, but when you play a music instrument, you are doing like 6 or 7 things at the same time. You are listening to what you're playing. You remember the arohan avrohan of that ragam. You remember the thalam. You remember the sahityam. You're sitting in padmasana. You remember the posture. You remember your left hand technique. You remember your right hand technique. One is doing the motor activity. One is doing the creative activity. At the same time, you are remembering if somebody calls you Ramu, from there you're registering that. So 7, 8 things your brain is doing at the same time. So the focus that you have in education, in your academics, increases.
yes.
The attention span increases.
This is what I wanted to hear. Thank you so much. That's a lovely answer. Thank you. And just one last question for me before I move to the participants, maybe. You have traveled the world over with your music and instrument and performed at several prestigious venues and festivals. The magnitude of your musical work is indeed great. From all that you have also referred to, you refer to Kappa Carnatic, your album Mysterious Duality, the Indian National Orchestra. There was one more that probably you didn't refer to, your one artist, one instrument, non-stop concert. What do you have to say about that? Non-stop concert for 2 hours or more with just one instrument. There's nothing else with you. So
Yeah.
how did you manage that, and what was the idea behind it?
So what happened is, I was getting an award in Bangalore. It was a very big event, and
Hmm.
many people had come for that, and that was followed by my concert. and a very senior Mridangam artist had to come that day to play with me. It so happened that he fell sick and he could not come, and nobody else was free to play with me that day. And I did not want to play with someone I'm not so used to because it was an important concert. I was wondering what to do. And then I remembered that Balachandar sir had played 45 ragas non-stop. He had done a series of concerts like that. So no break, no interval, no applause in between, nothing. He will start with raga number 1 and seamlessly weave it to 45 ragas. And this idea I got around at 12 o'clock in the morning, and the concert was at 6:30 in the evening.
Oh,
I was wondering, will I have the stamina to sustain for 2 hours nonstop without taking my hands off, not even to drink a sip of water? And what are the 45 ragas I can weave in? How will I build the bridge between each raga? How will I remember the 45? Will I have it written down? How will the audience respond to this? How will they enjoy a concert without percussion? Won't it look strange in that huge stage if I sit alone with the veena when they are expecting so many people there? So all this was a question mark, and there was only one way to find out, and that is to actually do it. So
okay.
I made brave and listed out the 45 ragas and the links between the 45 ragas. And I didn't have enough time to practice it because I could only conceptualize the whole thing in my mind. And I said, okay, from this raga, I'll go like this. This is the bridge. This is the bridge. And I just hoped it will come to 2 hours. I made roughly 3.5 minutes each raga. And
Okay.
as a plan, we had glucose and everything ready for me in case I couldn't manage it. So all my students and well-wishers were very tense when they knew that I'm just going to try this off the fly. So
Okay.
the award function, the whole of the award function, I was only thinking of, oh, after this, what comes? After this raga, what comes after that? So, and then when the concert started, I only knew I started. And then I think Goddess Saraswati took care. She played the concert. And after that, I played a few concerts like that. And we released an
I
album
see.
of a
I
live
see.
concert called 45 Ragas. So this is
Okay.
artist, you know, non-stop music concert.
Okay, Jayanti ji, you led me to another question. Okay, when you perform, before you perform, what is your state of mind? Every time you have to perform, is it that, okay, Saraswati ji, you take over, or are you nervous, or are you fully prepared and you have no problems at all? Do you talk to your students before your concert, or you're just on your own? What kind of mind, setup is yours when you go in for a concert?
Until you are on stage, you are in a different Wi-Fi. The minute you pick up your instrument, you have to connect to the God Wi-Fi. So then the connection, sometimes signal is good, sometimes you're trying to get the signal. So on days when the connection is good, the music is seamless, but you keep trying to reconnect to that network, and then he takes care of it from there on. Your job is to keep all your chakras clean and tuned in, because you have done your bit by practicing, by planning, by doing everything. After that, when there are hundreds of people and hundreds of pairs of eyes watching you, I don't think you can do anything. Only that network will take care, and it will be seamless.
What an answer. So appealing to people who use network. And almost everyone here is doing that. Okay, one, I think I remembered, we didn't talk about Chinmaya Vidyalaya at all. You went to the Chinmaya Vidyalaya. So can you tell us something? I believe Gurudev also used to come to your school and speak to you people. So you're so lucky. Can you tell our audience about that, please?
Of course. So when I studied there, it was in the Harrington Road branch, and Swamiji would come there. We had moral science period. So I think once a month or something like that, he would come, and then all of us would be moved to that thatched hut, that big hall, and then he would do the moral science class, and we had these little books, and he would teach us. As children, we didn't know that he was such a great spiritual leader. For us, he was like our grandfather. So he would teach us, and all those lessons are so fresh in our memory. And I think we're absolutely blessed to have received guidance from him directly.
So we have this direct connection with you, Chinmaya Vidyalaya, Chinmaya Mission, and Gurudev himself. What more do we want? So I think I'm at the end of the question session from my side. We will open it out to questions from other people. We are receiving some questions. But before that, let me announce the next Kala Samvada is on 29th of January. And we will have our Pandit Abhijit Banerjee, who teaches at the Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth. He will be talking about the implications of tabla gharanas in modern time. All right. So this is for the next Kala Samvada, 2 weeks later, Thursday or Friday. All right. Coming to questions. From Vidya Lakshmi Mahadevanji, she said, I would like to learn more about the Jayanti Kumaresh Academy of Veena. What is the larger vision? How has the reception been now that you're offering it online?
So this, during the pandemic time, we wanted to reach out to students worldwide. And the Jayanti Kumaresh Academy of Saraswati Veena was inaugurated. And we have been doing master classes, at least 3 master classes every month. And people from across the globe, even people from Africa, people from different parts of the world, they join. And every session has about 30 students. And we cover subjects like take a ragam, deal with it in detail, and maybe do a small composition in that ragam. So there is an accountability. They are supposed to record and send it back. It has been a beautiful experience. Doing this and reaching out. Maybe it was my dream actually to start an institution for Saraswati Veena, the national instrument of India, where you have classes, you have a library, you have the academy and everything. But now what was supposed to be in brick and mortar is happening online. So which is good because we are able to reach more people across the globe. So that has been the project during these pandemic times.
Very good. So I think Vidya Lakshmi ji's question is answered. Akshay Ranganathan ji asks, how to play many notes on the veena at once in one pluck of the string? Very technical question.
So he says when you do one pluck and play many notes, you need a certain balance of the tracks in your left hand and on the string. So once you catch the sound produced by the first pluck, you need to know to sustain the tone through a series of notes without dampening the sound. That comes with practice, and you have to find the right balance of the string on your tracks so that the sound remains on as you keep playing.
Well, I hope Akshay ji's got the answer. He must be somebody who knows how to play the veena. So Shashi Binani ji, I didn't quite get the question. She says, Hari Om ma'am, you are playing in Mam Tom. Is it Nom Tom? Can we get it online? Mum, MUMTOM. Can we get it online? Mum Tom. I don't know the question. So if you can repeat the question again, type it again, please. In the meantime, Nitin Kashyap ji says, ma'am, please give some guidance for people like us who have not been so fortunate to have learned classical music from our younger years, but started now at 40, like myself. How do we inculcate the music DNA? Oh, I got the answer tomorrow.
So we have students starting from the age of 0 to 100. So there is no particular right age to start. Only thing, your approach to music changes in different age groups. So if you start when you're 40, you have already heard a lot. So it is within you. You only have to work towards expressing it, because the music is within you, and the hardware is already there. To bring it out, you just have to do a little bit of technique, sadhana, and proper training. And for you to find the right guru who can help you do the sadhana, to be in talam, to be in beat, to understand the sur and express yourself. So you don't be in a hurry, because you're not in a race. You're just learning it for
Right.
your own pleasure. So just follow what your Guruji says, and I think you'll be all set.
Very nice. Okay, Shashiji wanted to know about your tomorrow's Mumbai program.
Oh, Mumbai
So
program.
can we get it online or something?
Yes,
She's
yes,
asking.
it is announced. It is in Veer Savarkar Auditorium. It is also online, and also audience invited.
Okay, so is there some link that you can share?
Pardon me?
Is there some link that can be shared with them?
Yes, the link is there on my Facebook Jayanti Kumaresh Veena page.
Wonderful. So, Shashiji, you can look up that. Now we have a question from Ashwin Bommakanti. Ma'am, how to attain the authenticity stroke standard of learning music through Gurukula Vasam in these modern times of going to the Guru once or twice a week? How to attain the authenticity standard of music, learning music through Gurukula Vasam?
Yeah, because of the way life is now, many people, though they want to do Gurukula Vasam, they find it difficult for several reasons. One, their educational plan does not allow them to go and stay with the Guru, and their family circumstances does not allow that. Or the Guru is busy traveling. Like me, if my Gurus come and stay, only they'll have to stay alone at home, because I won't be there. So, what is the substitute? Is to travel with your guru, make time, and you travel with your guru, watch them perform, go for their concerts, watch when they are practicing. So, spend as much time as you can. You might stay in your house, but go and spend time with your guru. Watch when they are doing a riyaz. Watch when they are doing their rehearsals. Watch, travel with them for a concert. The more time you spend with your guru, it is a Guru Kulavasam. I mean, you don't have to go and sleep with your backpack there. Spend your time, quality time with your guru, and be there. See how they plan, see how they take care of the instrument, how they tune, how they interact with the other co-artists. That itself is a great learning.
Great. Otherwise, come to Chinmay Vishwa Vidyapith.
And
okay, Akshati again asks, how many hours of Veena practice is essential in a day? He's the same person who sent the earlier message about.
that depends on what you want to do. If you want to be a performer, you need to practice about 8 hours a day. If you want to be average, I play well 2 hours a day. If you want to be a good hobby listener, 2 hours a day.
Okay, so 2 hours a day is minimum for anyone who wants to do the music. Okay, I think we are through. Yeah, Swapnilji says, oh, Abhijit Banerjee is in the audience. Abhijit da, we welcome you and acknowledge your presence. Thank you for being here. And next week week after next you are on. All right, so should we close, Swapnil and Prabhavati? Are we ready to close now? Then I will say the prayer, and then we will watch a little video on Vishwa Vidyapith's, on Chinmay Vishwa Vidyapith's other courses, and then we'll close, right? Yes. So let me thank you very much, Jayanti Akka, for, oh ma'am, one last question. Is it important to learn vocal music for learning Veena?
It's not a must, but it will help.
Great. All right. I must thank you so much for your forthcoming answers to each of our questions. Some of them may have put you off. I don't know.
Not
But thank you. Thank you very much.